You know that moment when everyone's nodding along and one person quietly says, no? Suddenly the whole room shifts. So what actually happens to a group when just one person refuses to go along?
What happens when one person says no to the group?
When someone says no, the sequence breaks. That is the problem. The group had a plan. There were steps, there was an order, and now there is a gap where the next step should be. I do not think people realize how disorienting that is. Suddenly, nobody knows whether to pause, continue, or start over. And most groups do not like that pause, so they try to close it as quickly as possible. They rush past the no. They say it does not matter. They reframe the whole situation so the plan still looks intact. Because stopping and actually reconsidering feels like losing the thread entirely. It is not necessarily that they are being unkind to the person who said no. It is that uncertainty about what comes next is genuinely uncomfortable. The group had momentum. One word interrupted it, and now everyone is trying to get the script running again before it feels like the whole thing has fallen apart.
What happens when one person says no to the group?
Oh, sweetheart, this is such an important thing to think about. Because when someone in the group says no, it can land in such a tender place for everyone else. It stops feeling like just a decision and starts feeling like a question about the relationship. Like, are you still one of us? Do you trust us? And I think the people who feel most connected to the group, the ones who really care about keeping everyone together, they're the ones who push hardest for the person to come back in line. Not because they're trying to be unkind, but because to them, disagreement feels like distance. But here's the beautiful thing, dear. The quieter ones in the group, the ones who've been going along but feeling uncertain, sometimes that one no is exactly what they needed to hear. It gives them permission to say, actually, I had doubts too. And suddenly, we're not performing togetherness anymore. We're actually talking to each other.
Here's what people miss, champ. The no is a challenge, not just to the plan, to the whole story the group tells about itself. We're the kind of people who do this. We're bold, we're in. And then one person steps back. Suddenly, that story has a crack in it. So what does the group do? They go after the one who said no. Make it about them. Call it weakness. Nobody has to ask whether the plan was actually fine. But here's the other side. If the person who said no looks solid, looks confident, not rattled, that changes everything. Now the ones who said yes start wondering if they looked reckless. Status flips fast. The no becomes the smart move. And suddenly people are following the person they were just mocking. Reputation runs the room. Every time.
What happens when one person says no to the group?
Okay, so, the thing is, when someone says no, it kind of splits the group right down the middle, and not in an obvious way. Because some people, the ones who are already nervous, already thinking, I don't know about this, hang on, they feel this huge wave of relief, like, oh thank goodness, someone finally said it. They were scared to be the first one. But then there's the other side, and this is the part that gets me, because the people who are scared of awkwardness, scared of conflict, scared of everything just grinding to a halt. They actually push the person harder to take it back. Not because they think the plan is safe, but because stopping feels worse to them than just going along. Which is, that's kind of a scary thing when you think about it, right? If the situation was genuinely risky though, that one no can be the thing that gives everyone else permission to finally admit they were worried too.
Okay, but this is actually fascinating because the no doesn't just change what happens next, it changes what everyone starts noticing. Like, before the refusal, the group is basically on autopilot. Nobody's really questioning anything. And then one person breaks the pattern, and suddenly there's this moment, wait, why not? And that question opens something up. People start wondering if they actually agreed or if they just never stopped to check. And even as the group carries on and nothing visibly changes, the refusal has already planted something. It's like a mental bookmark. People start clocking the behavior differently. And next time there's a group decision, it's slightly less automatic. Someone's already thinking, hang on, last time someone pushed back and actually, that was interesting. So technically, one no can quietly rewire how the whole group makes decisions going forward. The ripple isn't always visible, but it's there.
What happens when one person says no to the group?
My child, a single no can feel louder than it should. And there is a reason for that. Until that moment, the group believed it was moving as one. Not because everyone truly agreed, but because no one had broken the surface. The no does not just stop the plan. It ends the illusion that the plan was never in question. Some people rush to restore the momentum because admitting uncertainty feels like losing ground. Others feel something loosen inside them because someone finally said what they had been quietly carrying. Both reactions are honest. Both are human. And even when the group moves forward unchanged, something has shifted. A boundary has been named. A doubt has been spoken aloud. The next silence will not be quite so easy to sit in. That is the quiet power of one voice choosing not to follow. It reminds the rest that following was always a choice.
If you made it this far, you're gonna want to see what comes next. Hit subscribe so you don't miss our next video, and click the video on screen now to keep learning more. See you in the next video.